Thank you to Trainwell for sponsoring a portion of today's video. Something happened recently where I was just feeling very angry at the world and turning that anger into myself in the form of sadness. So I threw myself a little bit of a pity party, but even while I was doing that, I kept feeling like there's something that I'm not quite grasping here. I'm close to some sort of mindset shift that if I could grasp that, this would be a non-issue for me. And I realized it. I realized what that shift was that I needed to make in order to not feel so angry at the world. And in this video, I'd like to share what helped me get out of that rut in case it helps you as well. Because I know there are a lot of different reasons why people feel angry at the world. Because of economic inequality, because of injustices going on in the world, because of people just being disrespectful to them, whether online or in their real life, sometimes because of their own failures. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how to shift from being less angry at the world. If you're feeling angry at the world, you have to realize one essential truth, and that is that you are trying to change the world rather than changing yourself, and that is doomed to fail because you don't have that much power over the world at large. And having that anger about the way the world is a form of resistance to reality. As I'll explain in a moment, the fact that there are bad people out there, the fact that there are haters, the fact that there are negatives in this world is a fundamental reality. You're not going to be able to change that. You're not going to be able to change the way that people are or the way that people treat you. The only thing you can actually control is your own person. Taking responsibility for things that you want to achieve yourself. This is where I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Trainwell. One of the ways that you can focus on yourself is focusing on your health and on your fitness goals. And Trainwell is an app that allows you to use a personal trainer from the comfort of your own home, helping you stay accountable to your fitness goals, combining the personalization and accountability of a personal trainer with the flexibility of technology. Personally, I exercise primarily for my health because it's one of the easiest things you can do to live longer and to have a better quality of life while you're alive, to maintain my fitness level, and also because it's fun. You know, I only do workouts that are fun for me. I no longer do workouts that I dread. And one thing that I don't love about fitness classes, whether they be in real life or like on YouTube, is that they're not tailored to your specific needs. And I think Trainwell does a really good job of offering a solution to that because it is completely customizable to what your needs are. So how it works is you fill out an onboarding questionnaire, you get matched with a trainer and schedule your onboarding call. Then you get started on your workouts, and once you start your workouts, you can swap out moves if they're not for you. I don't want to do something that hurts my neck. And you can also track personalizable metrics. So you get to decide what metrics you want to track, whether it be your happiness level, your energy level, or whether it is something more tangible like your resting heart rate, your weight, your waist circumference. You get to decide what you want to track, and then Trainwell gives you notifications when to track those. And you get to see your progress over time. Trainwell is a really good way to reach your fitness goals and also get clarity on what your fitness goals are if you're not quite sure. It makes it really simple for you so that you don't have to sit there and wonder what kind of workout am I going to do today. It already plans that out for you. It helps you be consistent and accountable. So if you want to try out Trainwell, get a 14-day free trial using my link below. Thank you so much to Trainwell. Now back to what I was talking about. You were resisting certain negative aspects of the way the world is. Polarity is the law of the universe. You cannot have one positive aspect of anything without also experiencing its negative shadow. For example, why do you think celebrities get canceled and they get so much hate? They go through that stage of being devalued by society because before that they were being idealized by it. You can't have the idealization without the devaluation. It's why when I get the sense that somebody's idealizing me, that makes me really nervous because I know I'm just waiting for the pendulum to swing to the other side. The universe will always try to restore balance. Let's say, for instance, that somebody in your life is criticizing you for something. Let's say that they tell you you're too shy. You try to change, you try to become more assertive, you try to speak up for yourself. You realize that once you change yourself, that person can then say you're too outspoken. You are too assertive about what your needs are. You think that you're shifting from something that garners you criticism to something that will be devoid of criticism, but really you're just swapping out one form of criticism for another. There is nothing in this life that is devoid of its negative aspects. So the more you practice resistance to that fact, the harder of a time you're going to have, because you're resisting the entire laws of the universe. When I was young, I remember I was in the car, my dad was driving me to work, and we were talking about exactly this. He was telling me that everything in life evens out, and he was telling me about his brother. He said his brother's always been extremely lucky, but there have been just a few situations in his life where his brother was extremely unlucky, where these just like freak accidents happened to him. And I remember exactly where we were driving. I remember we were taking like the little road behind Lenox Mall for me to get to school, because this memory is like ingrained in my consciousness. I really internalized that message, and I really started to see it for myself, that everything in life evens out. But how do you move forward from this? Besides just shifting your mindset, what do you actually do? I think the most important thing is to just focus on what's real, particularly if the reason you're angry at the world is because of things that don't necessarily affect your day-to-day life. Like maybe politicians' decisions that haven't actually really affected the way that you move through the world, or something that someone has said that has offended you, or something that haters are saying online, or the opinions of somebody who doesn't really know you well. None of these things are real. The things that are real are your actual interactions with people you actually have relationships with, the joys that you experience in day-to-day life, your job, your leisure, your self-care. Those things are real. And it's really important that we shift from being angry about these things that are not actually real to us into focusing on what is real. Learn a new language, start your fitness journey, read a book, open a business, work to get a promotion at work. Get so successful, so healthy, so fulfilled that you are completely insulated from anything outside of that, outside of your world that is not real to you. And be so mindful, so present, so in the moment when you're doing those things in day-to-day life that the things that are not real to you are not able to affect you. Now, I know what some of you guys are going to say. I know it. I can read your mind. Some of you guys might be thinking, well, what if the thing that I'm angry about doesn't affect my life personally, but affects other people's lives who I care about? That is important. But here's the thing. Focusing on things that are outside of our control, that are not real to us, will never change the circumstances for those other people. It is only through accepting what's outside of our control and taking a really strong inventory of the things that we can actually do to affect change that you can take some action. Acceptance gets a really bad rep. People think that acceptance means giving up or just being okay with whatever, being complacent. That could not be further from the truth. Acceptance means acceptance of what's outside of your control, so that you can then turn your attention towards what is within your control. When people practice radical acceptance, that is ironically when they take the most amount of action, because they're starting to shift their attention from what is not real to what is real. So let's say, for instance, that you were really bothered about the way that a piece of legislation will affect somebody other than you. Okay, you cannot do anything about the fact that this politician wants to instate this piece of legislation. So let's take a look at what is within your control. This is my life right here. Why am I focused on things that are not even real? Now, there's a possibility that some of the things you're angry about do affect your real life. Like if a politician's policies, for instance, make it harder for you to be able to put food on the table, then yeah, that thing is very real to you. But you have to remember what is inside your control and what is outside your control. You can't control what that politician says or does. You can only control what's in your life. I love this exercise. I've spoken about it multiple times. It's in the Personal Growth Journal, where you draw a circle, and inside the circle you think about everything that's within your control, and outside the circle everything that's outside of your control. So in this situation, what's outside of your control is what another person chooses to do, what this politician chooses to say, their policies, not really within your control. What's within your control, you could say, write to your government representative to express dissatisfaction with these policies. You could advocate for yourself. You could join some sort of advocacy group. You could find ways to offset the impact of these policies on you. You might realize that there are a lot of things actually within your control that you haven't considered. However, when you keep focusing on the things outside of your control, like what this politician has to say, you're doomed to fail. You're automatically focusing your attention on something that is not real to you. And also something else when you feel angry at the world, because so often when we feel angry at the world, what we really mean is we feel angry at other people. You have to remember when you come across somebody like this, the key question that every person needs to ask themselves is, are you making the world a better place every single day, or are you making it a worse place? Are you positively contributing to society? happy? Are you making your loved ones have a better day? What about just the random people that you meet with throughout the day? You are actively making the lives of everyone around you better every single day, including your own. At the end of every single day, ask yourself, did I make the world a better place today or a worse place today? Once you take a step back and you start to assess everything through this lens, it starts to become pathetic when you come across people who are not doing that. When you come across somebody who's just being so needlessly rude, for example, you're able to take a look at them and say, this person is actively trying to make the world a worse place. That is not what I stand for. That is not what I will stoop to. There's no reason to try to control them or to try to resist this reality. They are the way that they are. This is a fact. The world is always going to be this way. It's always going to have people who are bringing it to a net negative. Let me instead focus on offsetting that negative with my positive. Let me focus instead on what I can do to improve myself and the world around me. Don't forget to check out Trainwell if you really want to focus on improving yourself, and take care.